I could see them maybe being used more readily as rehearsal tools, or at least in addition to performance, maybe to help actors be more aware of what's going on with them, especially like in the first couple of them, the breath panels and the breath fabric. In my initial reaction to those two, it might be a little bit distracting or overwhelming for an audience. That maybe those things would be done ordinarily in a person's body, and I know this is a way of maybe amplifying those things. The message, or in this case, story, which is what theater is telling of a story, might be overshadowed or even taken away from by the technology itself, where the technology would become the experience. Maybe it's going to change the whole experience for the audience. I could see myself changing the way I directed if I knew that technology was going to be a part, especially if it were going to be a large part of the production. Productions that are more kind of intellectual, or maybe heady, or maybe even more dealing with kind of the inner struggles that people have. It might be interesting seeing those given more concrete expression.
Right, like I'm looking right now at the heartbeat panels. I think that would be really cool in something experimental, but I think you would almost have to like write a piece with the technology in mind. And like the breath fabric, like I think that's a really good way to indicate. I think you could use like dramatic juxtaposition. If you have an external kind of what you're showing externally, and then the inner monologue that you're playing, it's a good way to add kind of a third layer, which I think could be really, really, really cool. And then same thing with the actor-dancer shadow projection. Like if there was a way you could get multiple functions, even if it's just two, into like one piece of technology, I think as if you change it up, it could be interesting. But I think if it's just like, every scene you show like the breath panels, it's unrealistic to think that in every scene there would be a different breath speed. If you're looking at a musical, very few things actually stay 100% true to realism. And so I think that whenever you kind of cross into that larger than life or like supernatural place, I don't think it's out of character to use anything like this at all. I would just be wary of using it in something that's very realistic. That being said, if there's something that's very realistic that you want to add another dimension of like fantasy to, I think this could be really effective. But I think the pressure recording floor would be really good for like a dance piece, like you said. I think that could, that almost just like that concept has a story attached to it anyway, like being able to like see where you've been and where you're coming from. The performance that would actually be coming out of me as an actor wouldn't change much, but I could make choices that are compatible with the technology to make to like a sum of a better performance.
For example, the breath panels or the heartbeat panels, you like by putting those in there to record or like show whatever the actor is doing, the people in the audience will kind of mimic it, and they'll start breathing, or their heartbeat will start going at the same rate as what the actor's is. So it kind of really puts the audience, inside of the scene. Especially if you're seeing like something at, say, Bass Hall, and you're like way back in the mezzanine, it's really hard to see things. But if they use like big props or set pieces or costumes, you can kind of see what's going on more. And like the movements the actors do, if I can perhaps see their heartbeat or their breath or like their big projections of their emotions, it would help you understand. High action, like Clint Eastwood type thing. I think the heartbeat panels would be really cool. If you're doing more of a emotional, I'm not really sure, you probably want the breath panels. I'd still write the same, but then I'd be like, oh wow, like if I use this technology, that can really enhance my script.
The heartbeat breath panels seem really interesting to me because I haven't seen anything like it, and I do think that it would help people, get a better feel for the performance, and I feel like it would really connect the audience more with how the actors actually feel, and so I feel like that would really make theater more interactive almost, and provide a really neat spin on the production. the pressure recording dance floor. I think that would add kind of another layer into dance and theater that you don't normally see, because it would kind of show you the complexity of the steps in a way that the audience hasn't seen in the past, and I think that would be something completely different. The breath fabric one might be a little distracting, hanging in the air. I think it's really, innovative, neat ideas that I haven't seen before and that there's not really anything like. And I think especially now how like a lot of the classic musicals are kind of being like rethought and done on different levels so that the characters are more like personal and it's not so much like grand set and everything. I think that maybe it would provide a different perspective on a production, that it could fit just about anything. From Shakespeare to the most modern pop opera that's come out. I think it could fit really well into the artistic vision. I think it would make me change my sound design a little bit in that I'd try to make it a little maybe less flashy, because I feel like a little a minimalistic sound would kind of complement. The focus is more on the actors than on the production value, and more kind of on like what's going on with the actors and how they're interacting with the set, and less how how the technical elements enhance the play. Sometimes technology can be a little bit distracting, but usually if it's done thoughtfully and with enough like design planning and really making sure that what you're doing interacts and fits with the story well, I feel like technology can add to a story. These elements are subtle enough to where it would just kind of add to the experience without distracting from the true nature of the production. I find in a lot of big productions is there's like 1,000 things going on, but they all kind of sum up to equal something really cool. And I think that would be the case with most of these concepts.